Now this is going to be really interesting and fun because I'm at home. I've left my tripod at the office. Not quite sure what the connection's like and where to look. Now I'm just going to play and see if it will let me do that, which it seems to be, which is great. I haven't got my tripod with me, so I've got some interesting things going on here of trying to work out how no, that's not going to work. So I'm fiddling, I'm sorry, I'm fiddling, and hello to those of you who are joining. It's confidence question time, and I'm here with my beautiful flowers that I've been bought over the weekend, and sitting in my home with my rather large drink. And hi Jed, nice to have you on board. I am going to be starting with your question, and for those of you who, it does take a while for this to, oh, I'm moving. It does take a while for this to register in people's timelines so that they know that this is going live. So I am going to waffle a little bit at the beginning of this. For those of you who know me well, I'm quite good at waffling. And basically the main reason is just to give people time to come and join and look at, come and join in, say hi, give me some thumbs up, some loving, or some anything else that you want to say. But it's really nice if you can jot in, whether you're cooking dinner, which I know Jed is, and or whether you are hopefully not watching television or anything else at the same time. But do say hi. Thanks, Jed. And then I can give you a shout out and we can kind of get the show rolling. Now, Jed and Claire, his wife Claire, have sent in a question this morning, or this afternoon even, which is fantastic because it's all about how the question is wrapped around how can you stay self-confident when you're facing test situations or pressured situations. So I'm going to be starting on that in a moment, and that's where I'm going to go. And I'm going to explain a little bit as to why Jed has asked that question and what it relates to. But I do think that it goes across the board, quite frankly, as to how we can all start to experience and interact with our life and what we might perceive as pressured or challenging or stressful or hard or difficult situations. And I do think that there is a really different way that we can look at them in order to help us grow and develop an inner self-confidence. Now, what is interesting to me is I always have a topic in mind that I'm going to start with anyway and then see where the conversation goes. And what was interesting was I was going to talk about how to feel comfortable in your own skin. And to be honest, there are a lot of similarities between your question, Jed, and being comfortable in your own skin. Now, being comfortable in your own skin is a slightly different topic, but I think there is the map over is about being comfortable in your own skin when you are facing those test situations and those pressured situations. So for those of you who are just joining, please say hi so I can give you a shout out and give me any thumbs up or likes or loves or whatever it may be. And what we're going to look at is how you can remain self-confident or even grow your confidence when you're faced with a challenging situation, a test, a pressured situation. So the reason that Jed and his wife Claire have asked this question is because Jed and Claire run a driving instructor business. And so they teach and train people to become driving instructors. Now, obviously, driving instructors, not only have they got to go through all of their tests and everything for them to be able to be driving instructors, but you also have students in the car that you are training. And those students that you're training and teaching and upskilling in that way, they're going to be facing a test. Now, all of us at some point in our lives have faced a test, whether it be a driving test or a test to do with school or a test to do with qualifications to do with a hobby that we have, or it might be work qualifications. So whilst this has been related to supporting the students that are going through their driving test, actually I think this goes across the board because the question, I think, if I've paraphrased it correctly, Jed, and if I haven't, then please do let me know. I kind of wrote down how can you be self-confident and control your nerves during test situations, and obviously the test was relating to the driving test, or it could be pressured situations. So it's really interesting that you've asked this today, because the client that I was working with this morning, we've been working on the fact that she's wanted to, for the last, well, I've been working with her for on and off for about 18 months, maybe 2 years. And when I first met her, she felt very low within the work that she was doing and wanted to get higher, but didn't believe in herself, didn't believe her capabilities. So over the years, we've been looking at how she could strip that back and develop self-confidence. And then she can, thank you for the loves. She said that she could develop that self-confidence. Now, for the last probably about 6 months, so pretty much most of this year, she's been applying for jobs. She's been passing the job application part and getting the interviews, and yet she was getting rejected. Woe is me, getting rejected from these jobs, i.e. not getting the jobs. Now, what's been fantastic to watch with this particular client is that as we've gone through and with every interview that she's had, she's never taken it as a knockback. She's never taken it as a rejection. She's never done the woe is me and never fallen into the victim side of things. Every single time she's come away from it and she's gone, okay, what have I learned from this? She always asks the interviewers for feedback. Always asks them for feedback, and it is really specific. How did I come across? What questions did I answer well? What questions didn't I answer well? All of those kinds of sides of things. And every single time, it's been a real pleasure and an honour to work with her and watch after each, or chat with her after each of these interviews, and hearing how she's getting even stronger and becoming even more confident, to the point that a few weeks ago, she'd applied for a job, and she'd applied for the job and then went on leave. And then when she came back from leave on the Monday, she realised she'd been accepted and had an interview, I think it was on the Thursday. Now, the old version of her would have gone into a head spin and a drama and got anxious about it. The nerves would have taken over, and she probably would have panicked and gone into that interview all anxious, not being able to, all the stuff that she does know just wouldn't have come out. And she probably would have rambled, gone around the houses, gobbledygook, not really answered the question that was being answered, fluffed things, and come out going, what? But actually, what she did was she heard that she'd got that interview. So this was the Monday, and she'd got the interview on the Thursday. So this is the first thing. When you have got any kind of what you might class as a tough event or a test or pressure or exam or anything like that, is the first thing is use all of the time frame that you have to prepare. Now, I know that may sound really flipping obvious, but you'd be amazed at the amount of people that don't prepare, whether it be for a job interview or a driving test. Or now, obviously, with a driving test, you have to take I'm guessing this now because I'm not really kind of out of date. I can drive a car, but I probably wouldn't pass my test these days. But you have to take your theory and then you have to take your practical. And obviously, your driving instructors are not going to put you in to take a driving test unless they believe that you're capable, because it's not going to look good on them. So, to be fair, if you're being put forward for a driving test, then the person who's teaching you genuinely believes in you. They have faith in you. They know that you can do this, which is awesome. That's, a wonderful bit of faith to have in somebody else. But your job is to do as much preparation. And that preparation, so within the instance of the client that I was talking about today, she looked at all of the information she could about this particular job role. She even immediately got in contact with the person who was currently doing it. Could she meet up for them, take them for coffee, have a walk around the organisation, quiz them? All these things. There was a 25-page report that she could look at. And she said, you know what? I didn't have time to read all of that. So I looked at, okay, what do I need to know for this role that I'm going for? So she kind of peels it back to what is key preparation, rather than trying to maintain or grab all of the information. She was looking at what was relevant for her in that moment and doing that prep. But that prep doesn't just come about knowledge. It's not just about retaining that information. That prep is also about you as a person, and more specifically about how you're thinking about you and your capabilities, your confidence, your competence, whatever it may be. And that is a huge topic, and something that, it's a huge topic. And you really need to look at it's kind of, let me put it this way, that there are two different ways of looking at life in this context. Is you can look at those competencies. Now, if your driving instructor, for example, has said, do you know what, I think we need to put you in for a driving test because I believe that you can pass it. Your driving skills are there, you have knowledge of the road, you have that competency. Now, if they're giving you that information and saying you have that, then it's not the stuff that you have to remember. You know the stuff, you know the knowledge, you have that resources, it's there, you have it. So the second thing that you need to look at then is around confidence itself. Now, competence is about those external things, skills, experience, knowledge, expertise. Confidence is about that internal stuff. So that second part of, if you know that you've got the competence side of preparation done, then give yourself a hefty old pat on the back, maybe refreshing over it. A client today, we'd gone through the process of teaching her how to visualize information so that she could retain it and make it far more playful and fun for her to remember. When you've got that, give yourself a pat on the back and then check in with the confidence side, because whilst the competencies are based on external information, confidence is based on the internal stuff. So what's going on up here? And that's a different kind of preparation that you need to do. So what you can do where that side of things is concerned is make a list of all the things that you know that you can do and you have done. Okay, it may not be that you've got A's or A stars. It may not be that you passed first time. I can drive a car, but I passed on my third time. Now, if I'd have believed my driving instructor, who, Karen, bless her heart, when she put me in for my first test, she knew I could drive. But I didn't have that belief. I didn't have that internal confidence. I didn't have that. I had the competency, but I didn't have the confidence. And needless to say, I failed. So then the second time I went in, with kind of like this exaggerated kind of confidence of fluffed up and, yeah, I've got this. And I was kind of overcompensating for my nerves and ignoring my nerves. And surprise, surprise, I failed. But then when I went in the second time, I remember getting in the car and I remember reminding myself, do you know what? Karen believes in me. I can do this. I know I can do my 3-point turns and my parallel parking. I know the highway code. I know these things. And I believe I know I have that knowledge. I know I do. I've been tested by Karen. I've been tested by my family members, my boyfriend at the time, all of those different things. I knew I had that. So I allowed that part of me to relax. I've got it. I've got that part. Now I needed to believe in myself. And I could feel my nerves going crazy. So in that preparation process, I looked at what I needed. And one of the things that I recognized was that I needed to relax. So all I knew at that point was to take loads of deep breaths. I drank water. I made sure I'd got plenty of sleep. I supported myself to get everything that I needed in that moment in order so that I could relax and do the final thing, which is trust in myself. Trust and believe that I could do this. I didn't know that if I was going to get it spot on. I didn't know if I was definitely going to pass. I couldn't guarantee those outcomes. But what I could do is support myself. I could look after myself and relax. And deep breathing, making sure I've got that sleep, deep breathing, water, they are 3 key things that are going to help you relax in that situation. And those are the kinds of things that you can pass on to your students and say to them, look, when the moment you get in a car with that examiner, rather than see it as an examiner, imagine that it's me. Imagine that it's me sat next to you. Imagine that it's me sat next to you. We're just doing our normal driving thing. They just sound a little bit different and they just look a little bit different. And when you're relaxed in that kind of way, it's like it's just a normal drive out. The other example I'll give you, for those of you who you may or may not know, I was invited by the BBC about 18 months ago onto their breakfast television. Now, as my brother lovingly reminded me as I was preparing for it all, so you do realise that 7 million people watch that every day. Now, the old version of me would have gone, yeah, that's why I said no, because I didn't recognise the competencies. I could talk about the topic that they were asking on, which was happiness. I could talk about life. I could hold a conversation with two people on a sofa. And I still, every time those nerves came up, I just reminded myself, you know, I can do this. I'm a qualified coach. I can do this. I have had conversations with people. I'm blessed in the fact that I used to work in television, but behind the camera. So I also knew about a studio. I'd been in there. You know, all of us that go in to do our driving tests have been in a car at least once. So we know that situation. We've been on those roads, and usually we take our driving tests in an environment that we're used to anyway. So the more we can remind ourselves that the person that's with us is just the same as our driving, they want us to succeed. They're on our side. They want us to succeed. It's about us believing in ourselves and helping ourselves. So those 3 tips are: prepare. And in that preparation, it's that first column of checking your competency. Have you got everything and done everything that you can to know that that's there? And as I said, just want to reiterate, pretty much most people who put you in for a test or exam, other than the education system, because that kind of works slightly different, but that private side of things, they're putting you in because they know that they believe that you can do it. They want you to succeed, right? So the first part is that competency side, giving yourself the recognition and acknowledgement that you can do it. The second part of that preparation is then helping yourself believe in yourself, reminding yourself of all the things that you have done, all the things that you can do, and having that internal belief. Now, I know that that can be quite easy to say. If you want to know further information, have a look on this page. There's loads more videos. Contact me directly. Ask questions about it more. Post a question below there if you want to know more. But it's so important to recognise that our external world is being driven by our internal beliefs about ourselves and the meanings that we're making about ourselves. So the more we can challenge that, the more that we can support that, then more we're going to help ourselves. That will then help you do the second thing, which is relax, and do everything you possibly can to be relaxed. And I don't mean horizontal, yeah, man, got this kind of stoner kind of relaxed. I mean internally relaxed. So it's about making sure you've got a good night's sleep, having water and taking those deep breaths so that you can support yourself. Now, when I got into the car for my 3rd driving test, unbeknownst to me, I was sat with the chief examiner. Didn't know that, thankfully, until afterwards. And I sat there and before I even turned the ignition, I adjusted my seat and my mirrors and everything. And I just looked at this gentleman and I said to him, I'm really nervous. Do you mind if I take some deep breaths before I set off? And he said, absolutely not. And he said to me afterwards, he knew that I was going to do well because I was giving myself the opportunity to be in the right place. And in fact, I think I might have done my parallel parking slightly wrong. I think I might have nudged a curb. And I said, could I do that again? And he said no. And I thought I'd failed. And he said to me afterwards, I didn't need to see you to do it again. He said, because I knew that what you were doing was correct. It was absolutely fine. But it was because I'd given myself the opportunity to be relaxed. And then that final part is to trust yourself. Not necessarily to have to put your pressure on yourself to trust yourself to get it right, but trust yourself to do your very best and know that you can. So, Jed, you've put loads of things. Let me just read through this. Love that tip. We can ask those who are lacking in confidence to write a list of the things that they are great at. Often they naturally focus on the things they struggle with. I'll come back to that one in a moment. Drink lots of water, take deep breaths, consider it a normal drive with someone different. Love that. It's perfect. That was the thing that I kept reminding myself about doing the BBC breakfast thing was I kept saying to myself, I'm just going to go and have a chat with 2 people that I've never met before, and they're going to ask me questions on a topic. I know what topic they're going to ask me. I don't know what questions, but, I've been in situations, in social situations, maybe at a party or, an event with friends or even business networking, I don't know what questions are going to be asked, but I do trust myself to be able to have that conversation. And that's all I did with the business, with the BBC Breakfast thing, was trust myself to be able to answer those questions. So yeah, you're just going on a drive with a different person, that's all. And your instructor believes in you. They can put you in for the test and know that you can do it. Absolutely. The examiner wants our learners to succeed. Yeah, brilliant. And you're just summarising. That's fantastic. Sorry, Jules, your page wasn't coming up, but I'm assuming that you're there now, Rob. So hi, Rob. Give yourself the opportunity to be in the right place. It's fine to ask the examiner at the start of your test. If you can take a few deep breaths before you start, they will totally understand. Look, we've all, pretty much all of us, been in situations where we've been so nervous that actually all we needed to do was take that pause. And personally, I think that when we do, we give ourselves the opportunity to realise that we're real, and this is a real life situation. We don't have to. One of the myths that I dispel in the Truth About Confidence, is one of the ones I'll be talking about at the full day event, is that we kind of feel that we have to either. We've been conditioned to think that how we are and who we are is inadequate. It's not enough. It's unimportant, insignificant in comparison to everybody else on the planet. And in actual fact, or we do the opposite and we go, I'm so much better than everybody else on the planet. I'm so much more important and I'm more than enough, etc., etc. And there's like this pendulum, and we either go into the exaggeration extremes, or we flip into kind of like the modest shrinking away extreme. And neither of those extremes, and unfortunately that pendulum swing from going from one end to the other, is very much part of the human mind. Unfortunately, it's a pattern, it's a behaviour that it does. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to be mindful of that and recognise that whilst it might be doing one or the other, is recognising there's a whole spectrum in between, and you can start looking at where would be the most appropriate place for me to be on that spectrum right now. So that if we're looking at it in the context of exaggeration or shrinking away, trying to be all modest and coy, actually it's not helping you. That's not the truth. That's not going to help you believe in yourself. It's not going to help you be genuine and authentic, which is, I know, a word that's being bandied around loads at the moment, and most people don't really understand what authenticity is. But authenticity is about not lying. At either end of the spectrum, it's about not lying, i.e. not exaggerating or, it was nothing, anyone could do it. That kind of shrinking away, which us ladies are extremely good at. And it's not helpful. And it's not that we have to go into I'm fantastic and I'm the best. Look for the middle ground. And in fact, I love the work of Brené Brown. And if you haven't come across Brené Brown, it's worth looking up her TED Talks, TED.com. Brené is spelled B-R-E-N-E, Brown as in the colour. And Brené talks about, she has this mantra, which I just think is so beautiful and simple to remember, which is neither exaggerate nor shrink away. Stay on your sacred ground. So to me, that's about being truthful. And linking that back to the conversation we were having a moment ago, is that to me, the BBC thing, I wasn't going to lie to myself that I wasn't nervous, because I was nervous. But I didn't have to engage with those nerves. They were there, but I could look at that competency column and I could go through and go, I'm qualified as a life coach. I can talk on the topic of happiness. I've had a conversation with 2 people before on a sofa. I can do that again. I've been in a television studio. I can do this. And that's all I need. It's okay for me to be nervous because I've never been on live television before. So therefore, it's I'm reminding myself of what I can do, as opposed to going, oh, I've never done this. I can't do it. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to expect. And in actual fact, the more you can help yourself with that, the easier it's going to be. And that's why it's about being truthful. It's not about, I'm never nervous, I never get anxious, I never get panicky, I never get feeling insecure. I have insecurities. I'm working through stuff for myself so frequently. But for me, it's about see those insecurities. Don't try and cover them up, because if you're covering them up, it's a little bit like, you know, I'm like, anybody who knows me personally will know why I'm laughing. I'm not going to explain, sorry. But it's like painting over, whitewashing walls to just cover things over, rather than getting down and doing the groundwork, which is pulling the wallpaper off, you know, looking at the structure, looking what needs to be fixed, and really going in there, rather than just doing the superficial, excuse my language, but the superficial bullshit that we think is going to pump us up. It's not helpful. Be truthful with where you are. So, Jed, my darling, I once heard a great phrase, Jules: anxiety is excitement without the breath. Physiologically, excitement feels the same as fear, but when we're fearful, we hold our breath. So I totally see that we can choose how to name the emotion we're feeling: fear, anxiety, or excitement, anticipation. And I know which I'd choose. Jed, that's perfect. It's absolutely perfect to recognise that, you know, for most people, excitement and nerves are experienced in the same place. You know, some people will talk about getting butterflies in their stomach. And when you ask them about nerves, it's the same or similar kind of experience. And I'm like, what if it's the nerves are just those butterflies getting ready to fly in formation? And that's what I mean about the external world really is about how we're describing it to ourselves. If I described the BBC event as the most terrifying thing I'm going to be doing, it's so petrifying, I've never done it before, I'm sure I'm going to mess it up, my biggest fear was about swearing, I'm bound to swear, it's all bound to go wrong. If I was buying into those kinds of thoughts and descriptions, and I'm going to look fat, I'm going to look stupid, I'm going to sound like an idiot, people are going to be judging me, if I'd have bought into that side of things, then I would have experienced something very different to what I did. So I'm making the assumption, Jed, that I love the fact that you're capturing it, and I know you're cooking dinner in the middle of it as well. Bless your heart. This is what you call about somebody who is dedicated to their business and dedicated to helping other people, Jed. And you know, I know that you and Claire work extremely hard with looking at how best you can serve not only the driving instructors that you train. And feel free, I haven't copied and pasted it, I'm so sorry, but feel free to chuck your web address just in case there's anybody watching this going, I'd like to know more about this couple. Put it down there, Jed. But when you, you know, the fact that you are so dedicated to looking at how best you can help others, I understand that, because that's my passion and drive too. So I really do appreciate your question with that, and the fact that you are in the middle of cooking dinner as well as interacting with this. So how about the rest of you? There's a number of you dipping in and out of watching this, and Jed, excellent, you put your web address down there. There's a number of you dipping in and out watching this. What are your thoughts on what I've just said about how to be self-confident and control your nerves? See, it's not about controlling them in some senses, it's about experiencing them. In those test situations, what are your thoughts on those three things about prepare, relax, and trust? Prepare, relax, and trust. What are your thoughts on that, and how you can use that? But also, what questions do you have? What other thoughts or questions do you have around this particular topic, or how to feel comfortable in your own skin, or something else that you may want me to answer a question on? So we've got roughly, I think about, I'll say 5 minutes left. Obviously, if a question comes in that's going to take longer than that, I will answer it. But if we're done, if you feel like you've got something from this and you're happy, then fantastic. And you can also, even if you want to go away and think about it, you can do what Jed did, which was Jed's on my mailing list, and to get on the mailing list, you go to juleswyman.com, and you'll see that you can get a lovely freebie of the 7 keys of confidence. And then I'll remind you that this is going out live every Monday at 7 p.m. That's my commitment. I'm doing that regardless of whether I'm at home, in the office, at friends' houses, or wherever I am. That's my commitment, and as long as I can get online, that's my commitment to you guys to do this for the next 6 months. If If it becomes something that you want to continue, then I'm more than happy to continue it. I'm ridiculously obsessed about this topic, mainly because I didn't have confidence. I didn't believe in myself. That's why I make those distinctions. And my passion is about supporting people to understand that confidence isn't about being brash. It's not about getting it right all the time. It's not about the exaggeration. It's not about being a shrinking violet. It's not about having to be perfect. It really is about being you, who you are, and showing up as you, being comfortable in your own skin. Now, it's extremely easy for me to say that. I know the old version of me, sort of 12 years ago, if I'd have said that, I'd have gone, well, it's all right for you. You're comfortable in your own skin. Look at you doing live broadcasts and being on national television, etc., etc. And I wouldn't have believed it was possible. So I do know it's a transition. I do know it's a journey, but it's really important to recognise and understand that it is possible. It's about understanding truthfully what confidence is and how, by understanding it, you can take ownership of it. Oh, not ownership of it, actually, recognising that it's there so that you don't have to fake it till you make it. You don't have to act as if. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to do any of that bullshit. You just need to be you. The real you, not the one that you think you are, not the one that you think is rubbish, inadequate, useless, worthless, not good enough, etc., etc. However you talk about that. I mean the real you that you haven't maybe met yet. And that's what it's about. And so, if you want to make sure that you get notifications of this, head on over to juleswyman.com. If you really want to know more about confidence, I'm doing a full day in York on the 3rd of September. I think there are about 10 places left. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not in the office, so I haven't got my little sheet to the side of me to know. You can go to thetruthaboutconfidence.com. And secure your place on that. I deliberately keep the group size small so that you can get one-on-one time if you need that. You can get your questions answered, and it's one of the things. I am going to blow my own trumpet. This is something I'm learning to do for myself. I know from the feedback forms when I've done this in organisations, the amount of people that will say, if you'd have told me at the beginning of the day that I would speak in public, that I would ask a question, that I would feel that I could do this, that I've got these resources, I wouldn't have believed you, but now I know it's possible. And I don't believe that this is down to me. This is just information that I have. It's not about I'm some wizard or magical person to be able to do things. This is just about information that I've worked hard over the last decade to learn and disseminate, is that the right word? Redefine confidence so that you can access it for you, because I know the difference it's made in my life. In some senses, it's saved my life. I run a coaching practice here in York. I fully support myself. I work full-time in my business. I am the only breadwinner because I live on my own. So if I can do that, and having gone from being in debt, then it's possible for you to, regardless of your circumstances. That level of change is possible through redefining even and understanding the truth about confidence. So you can either go to juleswyman.com and get the 7 keys of confidence for free and get started that way, and or you can go to thetruthaboutconfidence.com and sign up for the 3rd of September for the full day event. And I've been kind of like giving you more information like that just to see if anybody else had another question that they wanted answered around this topic. Please feel free to share this video with people you know that will make a difference to, whether it's students coming up for exams, whether it's people leaving university, starting new jobs, applying for promotions, going for interviews, whether it's driving instructors taking their tests, let alone their students taking their tests. Please share this with people. Let's look at how we can support other people when they're faced in pressured experiences or through those tests, to use those 3 techniques of being prepared, relaxed and trusting themselves, so that people can relax and feel even more comfortable in their own skin and confident. And just imagine what the world would be like if we were able to do that. So please feel free to share, like, love, wow, whatever the other symbols are. I can't remember what they all are. I'm extremely grateful for those of you who have been dipping in and out and giving the thumbs up and loving and all of that, giving up your time to make a difference either to yourself or to your other business colleagues. And Jed, thank you so much for a wonderful question to get this started. If you've got a question that you want answered next week on Confidence Question Time, you can either direct message me, you can post it beneath this video, you can send it via the website. You are more than welcome. Anything that I can do to help, that's what I'm here to do. I want to make the role or the job of confidence coach redundant, because everybody feels comfortable and confident in their own skin. That's my ambition. And by you sharing this video, you're helping me do that, because I can't do this on my own. So thank you so much. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Samara, if I've said that correctly. You're more than welcome. And again, thank you, Jed. And I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Take care.